Shannon has had to talk about this DUI over and over and over again. You know who we haven't heard from? Karen Huger of Potomac, who had a crazy DUI. The report was this car was going like 100 miles an hour and it swerved and turned and flipped and all this crazy shit. And she has yet to make a statement. They're filming, right? Did I hallucinate that? They started filming? Or am I imagining that? I think they are. And I'm sure they're bringing it up there. But I'm sorry, Karen. So this week, I knew I wouldn't have time to watch the episode and recap it because I'm prepping for the live show. And I got Kendra coming into town. And it's just screwing up a lot of my schedule here. But I wanted to give an Orange County episode because they've been doing a lot of interviews, like Shannon and Tamra, all of them, really. Watching these interviews over and over and over, I'm like, damn, Shannon really cannot get away from this. She's got to answer it and she's got to tell her story and talk about how ashamed she is. And I'm like, Karen Huger better fucking talk because Karen's was bad. Go, look up the Karen Huger DUI if you don't already know about it. It was, it was bad. So like I said, I don't have the episode to recap today because it's yet to air. I'm recording this on, Thursday morning. But I do want to go through a lot of the interviews and podcasts that the cast has been doing. I tried to watch everyone. I didn't want to be, shitty and only watch like Tamra and Shannon's. But when I was watching one of Heather's, I got like 15 minutes in and she's just so careful in her responses that it wasn't necessarily like groundbreaking. And I'll say that for Tamra. She does good interviews because she says wild shit. And you're like, what did you just say? So let's get into that right now. So they ask about that dinner, the one that Gina hosted, the one where everyone was coming for Shannon. Tamra claims that Shannon came for her first and then mom shamed Alexis. Now, whilst I was watching this interview that Tamra did on my computer, I had on Orange County on the TV and it was that scene. And so I'm simultaneously watching the scene and I'm trying to figure out at what point would Shannon have started saying that. Like, I can't figure out where that would have gone. Then I watched Shannon on Sheena's podcast. I'm going to throw a little shade at Shannon. She looked crazy. Her hair was terrible. It was all piecey. And I was like, put a hat on. But that's besides the point. Shannon was like, they were coming at me about something and I responded because Alexis said, you were a bad girlfriend. You never spent the night at John's. And she said, well, I have 3 children under 18. I needed to be home. And then Tamra goes, oh, are you mom shaming her? Well, I mean, she was trying to call her a bad girlfriend for not sleeping at his house. And so she was just responding to that. So I don't know if that was mom shaming. Also, Alexis, I think they have joint custody, right? Her and Jim. So she might be able to do that more because she can. I don't know. I don't know. But maybe it was mom shaming. But also, why was Alexis calling her a bad girlfriend? That's so weird. Like, oh, you were a bad girlfriend. Who fucking shut up? What? But anyway, back to Tamra's. She claims that there's a scene with Vicky where she agrees that Shannon has a drinking problem. I think that this is the moment where you see Tamra and Vicky talking. Watching that, I could maybe see where Tamra goes, she has a drinking problem. And then they cut whatever Vicky says and put in a voiceover, I think, of Tamra's like confessional. And I see Vicky's mouth moving. I'm like, okay, maybe she just nodded her head and agreed. I don't know about that. I sometimes think that Tamra embellishes things that happen in her head a little bit. Like we see her do that a lot on the show where someone will say something and she'll be like, oh my God, and then amp it up when she goes and repeats it. So I don't know. It looks like Shannon maybe was like, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not Shannon, Vicky. And then she says too about Vicky that they were fine, quote, all season. And then as soon as they wrapped, she's been nonstop trashing her. And I'm like, I don't know if I would have considered you guys fine when I saw the way when she walked in to the dinner, Tamra said under her breath, "Oh, the wicked witch," or something like that. So I don't really know if you can count that as you being fine. But then Evan asks her, Evan is the interviewer on this podcast. Evan says, "And why do you think she's nonstop trashing you?" And Tamra goes, "'Cause she's a side bitch on the show. She can't even get a clementine. We should get her a grapefruit. She's so sour." I go, "Oh, bitch, you practiced that?" She said that to someone sometime and they were like, "That's good." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to use that for sure." Because she kept repeating it. I'm like, Tamra, I know what you're doing here, but it's a little embarrassing. Okay, that's a little bit embarrassing. She says that the reason she's so over Vicky, like the final straw for her, was finding out that Vicky got the crowd to chant "fuck Tamra" at the Shannon and Vicky show. I mean, yeah, I guess that's bad. But hasn't Tamra done stuff? Hasn't she? I don't know. But then Tamra goes, part of the reason I didn't even want to do the show is because they fought all the time. Shannon and Vicky would be fighting and then they would call me and I would be in the middle and I was being used. I felt very used. Why? Because your friends were fighting? I don't know. And I also, again, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I felt very used because they were fighting and talking shit to you about the other. I don't know if that would make me feel used. Maybe uncomfortable, but not used. But that's a big word that she gets to use to say that to justify her leaving the show. I don't think she ever wanted to really do the show. It's like, I don't think the Tres Amigas never felt this the second time around. This just never felt like it was going to last. So I don't know. Evan then asks Tamra, "Do you think they'll have a fallout, the two of them?" And Tamra goes, "It wouldn't shock me. Shannon has fought with everybody on the show. She's gone after everybody. I know it's the nature of the show. It happens to all of us, but she's no innocent bystander." I'm like, that's kind of rich coming from you. Isn't that something you do too? Haven't you gotten into it with everybody on the show? That was odd. I was like, but you have too, Tamra. You've gone after everybody on the show as well. You know what I mean? I was just like, this is like pot calling the kettle black. And she said, and then this is her big thing. This was the big headline that came out of this interview for me, and it's what made me want to watch it. Where she says Shannon should be praising Alexis because now her drinking has been swept under the rug, and suddenly Shannon's the victim. It's true. It is true. It's 100 because Kendrick and I said when this season was starting, we're like, they're gonna fuck it up. We have this opportunity to hold Shannon accountable and they're gonna take it too far. And then we're gonna feel bad for Shannon. And it's exactly what has happened. Okay. We predicted this. So yeah, because you're giving her an opportunity to be a victim. But something that's really funny is that Shannon, because like I said, I've watched a lot of these interviews. Shannon has found a line that she's used in every interview where she says, "Now, I know Tamra calls me a victim. I am no victim. Okay, I'm a survivor." With her Barbie hands. She says it over and over again in all of her interviews. But it's true. I mean, yeah, if Alexis hadn't come back and given us all of these feelings, because it just feels cruel, maybe we would focus more on it. Maybe. But that's not what happened. So here we are. Tamra also tries to say that Alexis was really on the fence about coming back. And one of the reasons being Shannon's just going through so much. Mm. Okay. You really expect me to believe that at some point this Alexis that we're seeing on the show was like, I really feel bad for Shannon. I don't know if I should come back. Okay, I don't know. Tamra has not personally seen the videos of Shannon. The ring there, it's ring footage from inside and outside the house, and it's months and months of footage. And what I did see on this past episode was, I don't remember who even says it because that's why I need to take notes. But someone says, yeah, apparently it's Shannon almost running over his daughter. Huh? So the drinking and driving thing, is that what we're trying to say? Like, is that what we mean by that's not the first time that's happened? I just assumed that they meant like Shannon was notorious for like coming over and being drunk or something. But are we talking about the drinking and the driving as her doing that regularly? Because that is definitely bad. That is definitely not the best. But we're not going to see the footage. That's what I'm gathering. We're not going to see the footage. Thank God. She says that this is what Tamra says about John Jansen. Shannon would just drink and call us and say horrible things about John. And the next day, then she would deny it. But like, I've only known John to be a really nice guy, and Eddie likes him. And all right. Okay. All right. She's like, I know Gina's had one bad experience with him, but he was just defending Shannon. Like, siding with a man, I don't know. That's so like 2005. Like, but I guess if you guys want to be friends with Alexis, I don't even understand. Like, if Alexis wasn't throwing John in Shannon's face and just being such an asshole like that, maybe all of Alexis's quirks would be endearing, like her talking a lot. Like in this past episode, when Jen asks, do you normally drink Red Bull in the morning? And then she goes into something about her period. And they're like, the question was, do you normally drink Red Bull in the morning? Never mind. That could be endearing, but she's just coming in so hot that it's like, I don't understand why any of you guys want to be her friend, but they all are for the most part. Heather, Tamra, well, Tamra's like newish. I can't tell. Does Emily like Alexis? She seems to be Alexis's friend, but she doesn't seem to love that Alexis is presenting the way she's presenting. So it's clearly this is for the show, this whole Alexis performance that she's doing about John. Because that's what's baffling me is like, how have you guys all been friends with her? She seems crazy. Like, she seems like an asshole. And I don't know. Okay, moving on. Huge news. I've been preaching to everybody about Lumi whole body deodorant for years. I discovered it because I had a weird odor in the bikini area. Turns out it was body odor, not an STD, which is honestly what I thought it was. So I've been using Lumi for a long time. But one of the issues people had with Lumi was that there wasn't any sweat control, just odor control. They've reformulated, and now you get all the benefits of Lumi's 72-hour odor protection and sweat control. And the product is still baking soda free and paraben free and pH balanced for safe use below the belt. So you still get all of that odor control and sweat control. I'm blown away. I love them so much. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. So use code SHESPEAKS for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code SHESPEAKS at LumiDeodorant. The shortage on Ozempic and Wegovy is very real. So if you've been trying to get your hands on some, but it's out everywhere you go, RHOC can help. Through RHOC, you can access prescription compounded GLP-1s with the same weight loss ingredient as brand name GLP-1s at a fraction of the cost, and it's in stock now. You can see if you qualify from the comfort of your own home. You don't gotta go to a doctor's office. Just set up an appointment, and RHOC members get support throughout the entire process. You'll have access to a provider. You can ask them any questions, and if you are prescribed the medication, you can get it directly to you in 1 to 4 days. Hello. Go to rho.co/she-speaks. Memberships start at just $99 for your first month. Medication costs are separate. That's rho.co/she-speaks. Go to rho.co/safety for black box warning and full safety information. Compounded medication is not required to and does not receive FDA review or approval. Prescription only. In regards to Gina saying that Emily's meaner when she's friends with Tamra, she's like, I think it was a stretch. And I think that as you watch this season, it's a stretch with her stories to try and make good TV. I'm like, Gina? Okay. She goes after Heather and you just go, huh? Really? And like overreacting for the camera. I'm like, this is hilarious coming out of Tamra's mouth because you're kind of notorious for this. You're kind of notorious for doing shit just for the cameras, especially like since she's come back. Since she's come back, it's been really obvious that she does stuff for the cameras and like overreacting and whatever. So it's like, are you that unaware? But okay, the Katie and Gina thing, she does say like, this gets a little, she's like, at first I really thought it was Katie. I was more leaning towards Katie's side, but the more I see from Katie, there's inconsistencies in the stories. And she's like, it doesn't really matter if Gina called her the next day, 10 minutes later, a month later. If Gina called her to be like, you know what, actually don't say anything. That's not going to be a good idea. Just whatever, don't say anything. Then you should have not said something. Talking about Katie, like, I don't care. I know she's trying to prove that like Gina was into it, but Gina changed her mind and that's allowed. She's allowed to change her mind. And you kind of shouldn't have been so eager to come in just to attack Heather. So Tamra's kind of on the fence, which is ironic because she was so all about it. And she calls Katie's receipt a quote, nothing burger when she was like, you have receipts. We're vindicated. We got all this shit last season. But she's totally retracted, I don't know, her statements about Heather. And now she's saying, no, I don't even think Heather did call. I apologized to her. And then she's all, I know, right? It's really not a big deal. It's really like not a big deal if she did. And I'm like, that's not how you acted though. You even did a whole confessional where you were like, she cares about that stuff. I don't care. I don't give a shit. And like try to act like she was cooler than it. So good, I guess that now you have that take, but it's just such a contrast to what you were saying, what you're saying on the show. And so, okay, another part, I guess Tamra came on this podcast Virtuality before the season started, and she had said something about Shannon coming in between her friendship with Jen, and they asked her to explain more of what that means. And so she says that Ryan had been going on podcasts talking about her and Eddie. And you see in a preview for next week that Eddie is like, don't even fucking talk to me when Ryan comes in. And you never see Eddie like mad like that. But Tamra claims that Jen used Tamra going off on Ryan because it was about Ryan, and Tamra's like, this isn't about you, Jen, it's about Ryan. She used that as an excuse, quote unquote, to go after Tamra. And then, according to her, Shannon got in her ear and showed her something from like 2 years ago, which is like so irrelevant. And that it's like reaching or whatever. But I'm kind of like, that's sort of what you did last year to Jen. I was just thinking about that, what she was talking about last year, how Ryan was like, oh yeah, I'm going to fuck Tamra. It's like, that's not that bad. That's like, flattering, if you will. Like, he didn't do it. He didn't hit on you. And like, it doesn't really matter. Is Ryan super shady? Yeah, for sure. But you kind of did, you were reaching on the reason that you don't trust him and stuff like that last season. So if Jen, now she's got you coming for her man, I'm probably going to think it's more justified, because after last season, just that alone, I feel a little justified. I feel like she feels justified to come after Tamra just for last season. Now you're adding to it by going after Ryan. And at this point, Jen needs Ryan so bad, literally so dependent on him. So yeah, okay. All right. Tamra goes, I can totally see Jen and Shannon becoming friends because they both have that victim mentality. I kind of can see that too. I can give you that. Then they have, this is just a last little thing I'll say. They were talking about all the people that she interviews, the housewives that she interviews on 2Ts. And then she said something like, apparently Jen Aiden is the only one Tamra doesn't want to ever interview on the podcast. Jersey is crazy. I've been trying to catch up on some of the Jersey gossip, and it's so dark and terrible. And I just I feel icky even hearing about it. I'm like, I don't want to know. I'm good. Ugh. Jersey's yuck. I used to like Jen Aiden. I had a season where I enjoyed her, but then I don't like any of them. But yeah, so Tamra, like, I think that's also what's kind of hard with Tamra, because when you do get Tamra outside of the scene that you just saw her be an asshole in and talking about the scene, she's talking about it so different. Like, she's talking about it almost rational, but you're like, but I just watched you be crazy. And it's like, it's kind of impossible to like permeate Tamra's, what am I trying? It's like logic. I don't know. Cause she like presents after the fact, like she knew what she was doing. And actually it's very justified. It's hard to explain, but I don't think Tamra will ever change this side of herself. This is what she does. Shannon, of course, thinks that everything Tamra does is for the show. It's definitely starting to feel like that, for sure. And they didn't talk about this on this podcast, but it might have been a Watch What Happens Live when Tamra said, because they got a bunch of viewer questions, like, how could you talk to Shannon about her drinking when you also, like, we see you getting wasted? And she's like, because I don't drink. I only drink on the show. I would like her to stop then, because I don't want to see this inauthentic drunk Tamra. I'd rather see Tamra just as she normally is. I don't need her to be getting drunk and loud and all that stuff. I'd rather her show up the way she normally shows up, because if that's how like, she'll always kind of get snappy too when people say that about her drinking. She's like, I don't normally drink. I just drink on the show. I'm like, that's not really a flex. It's kind of just a weird thing to do. Like, just don't drink then. I know you get nervous and stuff, but then it just makes you such a dick. So I'd like her to stop that. I'd like her to stop doing that. But okay, then Shannon on shenanigans. Like I said, Shannon was looking a little cray. But it was very, like, this was peak Shannon. Just she was a little bit messy, like a little messy with the hair and doing all this. I didn't think that way. I didn't. That's very Shannon. That's Shannon in a nutshell. The cool thing was not cool, I guess, but the earthquake that we had the other day, it was a long one. That happened right when they were in the middle of their recording, which was cool, because you can see on the camera that it's shaking. You could tell I'm very accustomed to earthquakes. I'm sure a lot of people were scared if they're not used to them, but we're all pretty used to them that have grown up here. So it was kind of funny to see. Okay, so Shannon talks about her experience with John in this. And what I did find interesting was she said that she called it love bombing and said 2 weeks in, he was like, you're my person. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is a pattern with him where he gets you in there really quick. But she does point out, she's like, maybe this is different. I mean, I didn't get a ring. I'm talking about Alexis's ring. So much of this with John and Alexis feels like it's intentionally shitty for Shannon. Like, he gets Alexis this ring to piss off Shannon. It doesn't feel like he's with Alexis, and I don't obviously know them, and we're unfortunately going to have to see him. The mid-season, oh, that's what it was, the mid-season trailer. You see him coming into an event and Shannon being like, I gotta go. And so, I don't know, maybe I don't, but it feels just like everything he is doing is to get into Shannon's head, going to the same gym, the gym that Shannon introduced him to, and the trainer that Shannon introduced him to, bringing Alexis. It just feels like everything he's doing is to like piss off Shannon. So maybe that's me being paranoid, but I don't think I'm wrong. And from what it sounds like, this guy sounds like a narcissist who is coaching people on what to say. Shannon talks about, I don't know if it was on this one or on another interview that she did, but she says that Alexis knew the story behind that clip they keep showing of John being like, fuck Gina. Because remember how Shannon was like, well, he was hungry. Well, apparently at that like brunchy thing that they did with Heather, apparently Alexis heard Gina telling that story, or Gina was telling Alexis that story, like, this is what my experience was with him. And Alexis went, well, he was hungry. Now you see, I know that sounds small, but it's like, why did he even tell her that? Why did he tell Alexis that and give the excuse? And there is this element of coaching. And even Ariana talks about that with Tom Sandoval when at the she's like, coaching like you used to coach me, and you can see him doing it. So, and also John liked the attention. When she says on Shenanigans, she says that he was, quote, always available for press. And she was so used to David, who didn't ever want to do any of it. And I'm like, oh, he was available for press. And it's funny when you look up John Jansen, like you Google John Jansen, you get only pictures with him and Shannon, him and Alexis. He just wants to be photographed, and that's how he's doing it, is with another, like a reality star, right? And so this does feel like he was trying to stay close to production somehow, right? But I don't know if they knew they were going to bring Alexis back until or I don't know if John had it in his head that they would bring Alexis back to Orange County, and that's why he got together with her. I don't know. That seems very conspiracy theory of me to say, but he's clearly fame hungry. He's clearly not afraid of cameras. He's clearly signing waivers and willing to show up mic'd up to, like, that's nuts. That's fucking crazy, dude. So Shannon does confirm again, and she said this on Jeff Lewis's podcast like 4 months ago whenever she first talked about it. She said that I did offer to pay him a payment in full and settle it, but it's standard. You sign a non-disparagement agreement when you settle cases, but he refused because he's like, I will disparage you. And he's now added a fraud claim to his lawsuit. This is more about this is a Sheena moment more than a Shannon moment. Sheena had asked who's been the most supportive, and Shannon's like, Gina, actually. She's been the most supportive. And Sheena takes this opportunity to talk about the lessons that she learned from how she dealt with Shay on the show. And it did sound like she heard us, because it was so bad, but it sounds like she tried to learn a lesson, but she uses that to segue into, I hope that Tamra then sees the feedback from the audience and changes the way she approaches someone who she thinks has a drinking problem. Because again, I'll say it 1,000 times, calling someone an alcoholic isn't like a read. You're not like, ooh, got her. It's like, oh, that's not something you throw in someone's face like that. It's not like, ooh, yeah, burn. It's just, that's not what it is. Shannon also kind of debunks Tamra's whole thing about how they were super close, because she's like, a month before my DUI even happened, I had the twins going to college and Tamra wasn't checking in. I moved. She didn't want to see my new place. So it's not like we were all that close. And she doesn't understand how Tamra can be commenting on her time in treatment because she was gone. I think she was doing traders. But then Shannon goes, "Oh, my therapist was livid when I showed her that clip." I just love that she showed her therapist that clip. I don't know why. I just love her going into therapy being like, and look what she said. I don't know why. And I love her therapist being livid about it. Like, how dare she? Because Shannon does say, she's like, in my treatment facility, we had like drug and alcohol tests. We were getting tested. I had a sober coach. And I think if Tamra had just listened to Shannon, and she was just ready to cut Shannon off, I think. She was kind of already annoyed with Shannon and just didn't like Shannon, but didn't know how to say it, and then used this as an excuse to kind of cut her off. But when you really break it down, it's like, okay, but if you did want to be her friend, you could have just asked her all this stuff and learned about you know what I mean? Hello, She's Speaking listeners. Today's episode is proudly brought to you by Lolavie, Jennifer Aniston's award-winning hair care line. I do not take a shower and brush my hair until I have applied the glossing detangler. I cannot live without that glossing detangler. First, let's talk ingredients. Lolavie is all about naturally derived plant-based goodness. They don't do silicones, sulfates, parabens, or gluten. And of course, cruelty-free and vegan. There's an in-shower trio. There's the restorative shampoo and conditioner, plus an intensive repair treatment. So when you're in that shower, you are in your own little spa with that trio. And then after, post-shower, you got to do the glossing detangler, the perfecting leave-in conditioner, and the lightweight hair oil is genuinely the best hair oil. It is the exact consistency you want, because I have thin hair. And so oils can weigh it down. Well, they're not kidding. When they say lightweight, it is like a feather. It's perfect. All of these products work together to prime your hair, to prep and finish your hair. You get silky, smooth, Jennifer Aniston-approved locks. Unlock Jennifer Aniston-approved hair at lolavie.com. As our loyal listeners, you'll get an exclusive 15% off your entire order when you use code SheSpeaks15 at checkout. That's 15% off your entire order at lolavie.com with promo code SheSpeaks15. Please note, you can only use one promo code per order, and discounts can't be combined. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Your hair will thank you. Cannot believe it's almost fall. It is time for us to stock up for sweater weather. Quince is the perfect place to do that if you're especially looking to not break the bank, because Quince has cashmere sweaters for $50. The quality of these sweaters is top tier. The fabric is top tier. You want to know why? Quince only works with factories that use the best quality fabrics and finishes. Also, they only use factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, but they pass the savings on to us because they're working directly with the factories. No more middleman. Thank you, savings. But we don't lose out in quality or style. We're talking timeless pieces. I just got my new washable silk button-up top. It fits hot. It fits like you want a perfect tee to fit. I wear it with some jeans. I look chic. I love it. But washable silk, that should be a pretty penny. Half the price. So make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/shespeaks for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/shespeaks to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/shespeaks. Something I will say that I think does sort of prove, if you will, that Shannon's learned something and is changed from this is that she's happy being single and is okay with, and that actually is big. It is big. I'm so happy I'm not hearing her talk about dating and now I kind of do understand why she went to this treatment facility that was mainly about like picking bad romantic partners. Because she goes, no, yes, I know I was using alcohol to for the wrong reasons as a crutch, but also why am I doing that? It is a bigger overall issue. It is. If you look at someone like, well, it's a bad example now because James is doing so much better. But, when James just cut out drinking and didn't work on any of the therapy stuff, he was still a disaster. So, it's not just the simple act of cutting out alcohol. There is more to it. So I'm impressed that she's cool being single. I'm like, okay, that's different for you. Also, Shannon has talked about this in a couple interviews. Shannon claims that they had cut, there was like a boozy number that they were due. So she cut that from the show and cut something else that had to do with alcohol. But then the next night, Tamra insisted that they put it back in, which is weird, right? And I'm like, is Shannon thinking about that accurately? Like, is that what really happened? That's a twist for sure, right? But then, okay, LOL, Sheena, this is so fucking weird. Sheena's like, are you guys going to rebrand to Dos Amigas? And Shannon's like, well, we kind of already do. And she like laughs, we go Dos Amigos, Doug, because Doug is the guy that does the show with us. And Sheena thinks she can give like branding advice all of a sudden. And she's like, or you can do Tres Amigas and have like someone else come in. And you could tell Shannon's like, we're good. No, we're good. We don't need that. What are you talking about? No, Sheena, that's not what why would they call it Trace? No, that's dumb. The rift with Tamra, she said, started at the point when Tamra commented like the clappy emojis on Alexis and John's post on Instagram, which is funny because Tamra was like, I checked on Shannon. I wanted to make sure she was okay when all the Alexis and John stuff was coming out. It's like, no, Tamra, you actually commented first. And then when Shannon was like, are you seriously commenting on their fucking post? She was like, grow the fuck up. And then a month or so later was like, just checking on you. I know it's the holidays. I know it's going to be really sad for you. So, yeah. Okay. Sheena's a very weak interviewer. A lot of these questions I was kind of confused. It's like she poses things as a question, but it's more of an opinion. And I was surprised Shannon was able to even respond to stuff. So a lot of it was like blah, blah, blah. But something that I did take away is that she says Tamra hasn't ever had a conversation with her directly about her drinking. And that's not cool. That's nuts. Yeah, I assumed that Tamra had spoken to Shannon and said, I really think you should quit. I just assumed that. And that Shannon was like, no, I'm not going to. So that really makes it even worse for Shannon because she just starts seeing her friend out there like liking and commenting on Alexis and John's stuff and then telling her she's got a drinking problem, telling everyone else she has a drinking problem. I don't know. I really was hoping to get some perspective and understand Tamra's side more, but I'm not getting it. And I don't know if it's just because they're cutting stuff out and giving Shannon a favorable. I don't know, but I'm not seeing Tamra's side. It just seems like she wanted to drop Shannon and found her reason. I don't know. All right. Another, this is just a quick one. Shannon was on Entertainment Tonight. She has teased, and she teases a couple on Shenanigans as well. We will be seeing that cease and desist that Alexis said, go find the proof. Show me the document. So we will be seeing it, which means it has Alexis's name on it, which is okay. But in this interview, Alexis and John had just done an interview with Carlos King, and Bryce is the interviewer. Bryce is like, let's respond to some of the things they said. One of the things John said was, what's it like to fail every day? Well, that's what it was like to date Shannon. Jesus Christ. Shannon goes, yeah, well, yeah, we fought. When we fought bad. We it was really, really bad. We fought a lot. And then he would ghost her for up to like 10 days after a big fight. This does say a lot about Shannon too. Like, the fighting and the what, it's like that, it can get exhausting, but it takes two to do that. And then him ghosting her for 10 days, I can only imagine how many times she tried calling him, and I'm sure she tried showing up at his house. Like the toxicity. Now I can only imagine what those damn Ring cameras were. It's like, you guys get in a fight. She says they went out a lot. They did go out all the time. But if you get in a fight and then they start not talking to you, then you go crazy and then you show up. It's just God, what a toxic cycle that was, So, okay. But okay, actually, I'm going to end this one on, remember how I said, Katie, we're not getting a lot of info on Katie's divorce. We only heard like kind of snippets, and I had questions. I did. And Radar Online released a whole article about what went down. And I want to read it. It's really crazy. So, okay, immediately following the divorce, Andrew Sunseth was granted primary custody of their children. Okay, Kaylee, Gavin, and Maxon. Their dad assured the court he was a, quote, fit and proper parent, and said the children living with him would be in their best interest. Ganella was given 85 days of, quote, parenting time per year and was ordered to pay child support to Andrew Sunseth. But in April of 2018, she filed a petition to modify the agreement, saying there had been, quote, several changes in circumstances materially affecting the welfare of the minor children over the previous year. Their father, quote, frequently places his own interests above the best interests of the minor children and repeatedly fails to make the minor children's needs a priority. She said, Andrew called Kaylee, who was 14 years old at the time, an asshole, I'm assuming, a disgrace and an embarrassment, adding that he, quote, allowed his girlfriend to repeatedly tell Kaylee that she is a whore. Kaylee had become fed up with the alleged verbal abuse and filed her own affidavit asking the court to put her in the primary physical custody of her mom. The court decided to implement a, quote, split parenting arrangement, granting her full custody of Kaylee while the other two younger children remained with their father. However, the legal skirmish didn't end there. More than a year later, Ganella filed another motion accusing her ex of violating several terms of the updated agreement, claiming he retaliated against their daughter for wanting to leave. He told Kaylee that he would be throwing her belongings away and that she would never have a room at his house again. After Kaylee made the move, he allegedly trashed her remaining belongings and turned Kaylee's room into an Xbox room. If that's real? Ganella also accused her ex of being violent, writing, during spring break 2019, he punched Gavin in the chest. She further alleged on April 18th, 2019, Andrew gave Max peanut pretzels to test if he was really allergic to peanuts. Max had an allergic reaction to the pretzels. What? Moreover, Ganella said Sunseth violated a term of the parenting agreement dictating neither parent shall denigrate the other in the presence of the children. Fair? The same day the parties signed off on the arrangement, Sunseth allegedly told the children their mom was a liar and allegedly also told Gavin and Max, your mom doesn't really want you. She requested Sunseth be ordered to adhere to their agreement, but the matter was dismissed last March after the court received, quote, no response to a hearing notice. What the fuck? This is like, what? And he still has the custody. Like, if you really thought they were in that much danger, we just really didn't get even a fraction of this. Like, damn. Okay. And if you look up Andrew Sunseth, was like, because I Googled his name and his Instagram came up and he posts pictures with the kids all the time. I don't think that always matters. Like when I see some people were commenting on this article saying, well, it looks like they're happy with him or whatever. Pictures don't matter. Like he can make people pose, make the kids pose. And now just the youngest was with him. Because the other son is still in San Diego, finishing high school. I still have questions about that. I'm like, who's he living with? Where does he stay? So I don't know. But okay, girl. Mm-hmm. And according to Tamra, Katie is going to be kind of quiet the rest of the season. So after like the paparazzi thing happened with the Gina, whatever, it's like she kind of just dies down. So I don't know. But anyway, okay. That wraps us up. I've got to go. I've got to get ready to go get Kendrick from the airport. All right, guys. Love you so much. Mean it. Please, if you can't make it to the live show, buy a streaming ticket. That'd be awesome. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to She's Speaking with Emily Hanks. This show is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Emily, and brought to you in partnership with Cloud 10 Media. If you are looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. To show some support, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Another free way to support the pod, please rate and/or review on whatever platform you listen. It's free, and it helps the algorithm or something. You could also head to buymeacoffee.com/shespeaks and buy me a coffee or two. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. I am She's Speaking with Emily Hanks across all platforms: Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys. See you soon.